siege. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this live episode coming to you from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, of Ask Huda, where I'll try my level best to answer your questions. And until we receive your phone calls, these questions came through the internet, through the email. Suhail says, as I was coming home at night, I rode over a bird, and Allah knows best whether it was dead before it or it died afterwards. It was totally accidental. What should I do? And the answer is, there's nothing for you to do because there is no sin involved. As long as it was accidental and you did not intend it, then in this case, Allah Azza wa Jal is most forgiving and there's no sin on you. Sister Uzma says, if a person intends to do qurbani, and qurbani is the slaughtering of the sacrifice which is done on the 10th, 11th, 12th, or the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. So this is the day of Eid. We give sacrifice and we call it Udheya. Our brothers and sisters from the subcontinent call it qurbani. So she says, if a person intends to do that, but they deputize someone like a charity organization to do it in another country, does that person still have to refrain from cutting their hair and nails? If they do and they still cut their hair or nails, is there a kafara? First of all, the origin of this is that the Prophet ﷺ told us that if any one of us intends to offer the sacrifice, the udhiya, and from the beginning of the first day of Dhul Hijjah, the month of Dhul Hijjah, which is the 12th month of the Islamic calendar, when the first day begins, those intending to sacrifice must refrain from cutting their hair, clipping their nails, or touching anything on their body with disregard. Now, Sister Uzma is saying that if people deputize, so instead of slaughtering here in Saudi Arabia, most likely it's going to be like 1,500 riyals per sheep, and there is a lot of money. So if someone intends to, for example, slaughter in Syria, so that they are more needy, or in Somalia, or in Palestine, where there are poor people, so he deputized a charity organization. If they accept that and take the money, should I refrain as well until they slaughter? And the answer is yes. Throughout the whole 10 days, you cannot clip your nails and you should not touch the hair of your body until you know that they've slaughtered. And this is one of the disadvantages, because you don't know whether they're going to slaughter on the 10th, 11th, 12th, or the 13th. And this means that you have to wait until the 13th sunset so that you can do these things. Abdullah from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Good evening to you, Abdullah.
Alhamdulillah. I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is regarding fasting on the first 10 days of the Hijjah. Is it a sunnah?
Okay.
The first 9 days, actually. And then the second question is, the 13, the 14, and 15 is recommended to fast. But in the month of Dhul Hijjah, those 3 days are the Yawmul Tashriq.
Okay.
Or something that maybe the Prophet has prohibited fasting in those days. I heard. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I'd like you to elaborate on that. Maybe if I'm at home here in Nigeria, can I fast on those 2 days?
I will answer your question, inshallah. Brother Ibrahim from Saudi Arabia. Ibrahim, mute your TV and speak to me from the phone, please.
Hello?
Yes, Ibrahim.
Yes, my name is Imran.
Imran, okay.
Yes.
I just want to ask, is it permissible to do a tawaf on behalf of someone who is alive or dead?
To do only tawaf?
Yeah. You
Okay.
can do tawaf on behalf of someone who is alive or dead. Because in India we have some books, some Maulanas, they are saying that it is permissible.
I will answer your question, inshallah.
Okay.
Okay. Brother Abu Safwan from Kuwait.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam. I'm fine. Jazakallah khair for asking.
Sheikh, I had 3 questions. I don't know if you have time. My first question is, I have finished, alhamdulillah, the zakat for this Ramadan, the past Ramadan. So one of my relatives, he has no job. And he needs to buy a visa in Abu Dhabi, and it's certain maybe 10,000 dirhams. So my question is, can I help him from my current years or running years, zakat, which will be due in the coming Ramadan, inshallah?
Okay.
This is my first question. And the other is about like what is happening around the world with the Muslim world. So we supposed to, there are 3 stages of Iman. So first by force, then by, words, and then by, saying that in the heart. So in this case, you have what we have to do, because if we do it is a facade or no facade, what kind of resistance we can offer against this?
You're referring to the film?
The situation like in, around the world, like in Burma or in other places.
Oh, okay.
Where the head of the state, he's just quiet. So what to do?
Okay. Third question.
Thank you.
Okay, I think he had only 2 questions. Muhammad from Saudi Arabia. Alaikum salam.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, akhi.
So this question is regarding Hajj, sir. Inshallah, I have intention to go for Hajj this year.
Inshallah.
And, the company through which I am planning to go, they are saying they will give accommodation in Azizia.
Okay.
Just nearby Zamarat, 300 meters from Zamarat, they are saying. So is it okay to stay in Azizia and perform your rituals and come back to the building in Azizia?
How far is it from the Jamarat?
Yeah, they're saying this building will be nearby Zamarat around 300 meters.
Okay, I will answer your
They're
question.
saying like this. Second question is, sir, is it necessary for people living in Jeddah to perform Tawaf-e-Wida immediately after Hajj, or can I come back to Jeddah and then later on I can go back for Tawaf-e-Wida, or immediately I have to perform Tawaf-e-Wida?
Okay, I'll answer your question, inshallah.
Thank you, sir. Jazakallah khair.
Wajazak, ya akhi. Okay, Abdullah from Nigeria was asking about the ruling on fasting the 10 days of the Hijjah. The Prophet has told us in an authentic hadith reported in the Sahih that there is no days that offering good deeds are better for a person more than the 10 days of the Hijjah. And the scholars stated that these 10 days of the month are the best days ever. And they're even better than better than the days of Ramadan. However, they said that the nights of Ramadan, the last 10 nights of Ramadan, are better than the nights of these 10 days. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ has clearly stated that there is no deed better to be performed rather than in these 10 days. Even if a man goes to fight in the cause of Allah, it takes all of his wealth and does not come back, he dies as a martyr and his wealth is also gone with him. But we have to emphasize that they are not 10 days actually, they are 9 days. Because the 10th is the day of Hajj, is the day of Eid, which is completely prohibited for a Muslim to fast under any circumstances. So these 10 nights, or 10 days that is, these are the one that to be fasted. And brother Abdullah is saying, is it sunnah? And the answer is yes. Because the Prophet ﷺ told us that good deeds, and he did not specify. So offering voluntary prayers, giving charity, and fasting is among the highest in rank of the good deeds that a person can perform. So this is part of the sunnah. And he's asking about if a person has this habit of fasting the white days. What are the white days? They are the 13th, 14th, and 15th of every lunar month. These are known as the white days, and they call it white either because the moon is in full form and shape, so there is a lot of light in it, or for any other reason. So he's asking that if someone is used to do this, but we know that in the month of the Hijjah, there are 4 days that it is forbidden for us to fast. The Prophet said, alayhi wasallam, the day of Eid and the days of Tashriq, 11th, 12th, and the 13th, are days of eating, drinking, and remembering Allah. And scholars say that these 4 days are forbidden and prohibited for us to fast, with the exception for a pilgrim who is offering tamattu or ifrad and is unable to find the money to make his sacrifice. In this case, he may fast 3 days in Hajj and 7 days when he goes back to his country. So from this hadith, we learn that 11th, 12th, and the 13th are forbidden. So for someone who's used to fasting the white days, which are 13th to the 15th, it is forbidden for him to fast the 13th. Therefore, he may, if he wish, fast 14th and 15th, and any other day. That would not constitute any problem, insha'Allah. Umar from Nigeria. Brother Umar, wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Good evening, Sheikh.
Good evening to you as well.
Yes, I have 2 questions for you, Sheikh.
Yes, brother.
And they're all regarding to bank. The first one is that if a person receives interest in his account, that's a riba.
Okay.
From bank, can you give that riba to the needy?
Okay. Second question.
The second one is that if a person wants to collect a loan from the bank normally collects collateral from him, that is his property. And they give him that money that he requested from them, and they give him the specific time that will return the money back to them. So my question here is that if his property are worth up, for example, $20,000, and they put it in market like $15,000, can a Muslim buy that property of a person who refused to pay the loan that he collected from the bank?
I did not get your question correctly. Now you're saying that someone gets a loan from the bank. What does the bank give him with that loan? He will take interest from him. He will tell him $3,000, you bring it back $4,000.
No, that's not the question, sir.
Okay, what's your question?
The question is that there are some people that want to collect loan from the bank.
Okay.
And when before they collect the loan from the bank normally gives them, they need to collect collateral from them. That is their property. They will give them the specific time. If they didn't bring their money back at that specific time, they will sell their properties.
Okay.
So my question here is that when they collect your collateral and you refuse to bring back their money, if your collateral are worth of, for example, $20,000, they usually sell it like $15,000. So if they sell it, if they put that $15,000 on market, can a Muslim buy that collateral from the bank?
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Okay, Imran's question was, is it permissible to perform tawaf on behalf of a deceased person or a living person? And the answer is no. It is permissible to perform a umrah, which constitutes of tawaf and sa'i, as you know. But to split it and only perform tawaf on behalf of the dead or the living, this is not permissible. Abu Safwan's, I think he had 3 questions, but he only had time, I think, to say 2. He's saying that a relative of his needs to buy a visa from Dubai or from the Emirates for 10,000 dirham. And this is very bad. Whether it's in Emirates or in Kuwait or in Qatar or in Bahrain or in Saudi Arabia, when you buy visa, and this is something not to be sold, those who sell the visas, the Saudis that sell the visas are eating haram. They cannot sell something that they did not work for. All what you do is you apply to the government and they give you 10 visas. You go and sell it to people. This is forbidden. And this is the fatwa of Sheikh bin Baz, bin Uthaymeen, all the scholars of Saudi Arabia. They all say that this is forbidden for a Muslim to take. And not only that, to enslave the people and tell them that, listen, you come and work under my sponsorship and you give me every month 200 riyals or 200 dirhams. Again, this is another form of slavery, and the money itself is haram and forbidden for any Muslim to take. But in the case of this brother who's in need and he doesn't have a job and his country probably is not giving him much of a good life to live, and he needs to work in the Gulf to be able to support his family, and this is the only means of doing this, so he has to pay 10,000 dirhams, but he doesn't have the money. So Abu Safwan is saying, can I give him from my zakat? And the answer is, yes, you can, inshallah. And he's saying, can I give him from my zakat of next Ramadan, not this Ramadan? And I said, yes. As long as you estimate that your zakat would be more than that, and you precede it 10 months or 11 months and give it in advance, this is permissible, inshallah. Sister Khadija from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jumaat Mubarak.
To you as well.
Sheikh, I want to ask if a woman is
Recites what?
Kahf.
Okay, Kahf, okay.
Every Friday.
Okay.
So during her period and it falls on Friday, what will she do?
I will answer your question, inshallah. Any more questions?
Okay. No, thank you.
You're welcome. Abu Safwan's second question was, what's the ruling on changing evil? We know that as Muslims we have to enjoin virtue and forbid vice and evil. So the evil we see in Burma, in Syria, in Palestine, the evil we see worldwide that is happening to the Muslims, the unmanned drone attacks to the Muslims in Pakistan, in Yemen, in Somalia, in wherever. What do we do against this evil that is being committed? First of all, we have to stand up and fight. If there is an Islamic flag that we fight under, so there has to be a ruler, there has to be a Muslim ruler who leads the way. Unfortunately, at the moment, there isn't. So we go to step number 2, is that we fight through what we say, through our rhetoric, through talking about it where we can, and try to give them moral support, whether through the social networks, whether through the media, whether through writing articles in newspapers and magazines, supporting our brothers who are being oppressed by the kafir regimes or by the kafir states, killing the Muslims as if their blood is as cheap as water. And unfortunately, no one is talking. Whether they're afraid, whether they are afraid physically or afraid for their thrones, Allah knows best. Anyhow, as individuals, this is our not role. Our role is not to discuss those on top. Allah Azza wa Jal would take care of them. Our role is to try to change this by whatever we can say. So we support our brothers in Syria, in Burma, in Palestine, and everywhere. If this is not enough, the rhetoric, we still have something that we can do, and that is financial aid. So we give our brothers in these deprived countries charity. We give them financial aid. A doctor can go there and help them physically. I remember in the early wars of Afghanistan in the 1980s, when the jihad was true jihad between the Muslims and the Kafirs, not what we see nowadays, unfortunately, of Muslims killing others and giving takfir to others and fighting, and the Kafirs are laughing their heads off. At that early time, I remember that there was a surgeon, and I know him personally, who works in a hospital here in Jeddah, and he is a sweetheart. He was an orthopedic surgeon who went to spend his annual vacation, a whole month in Afghanistan, to save the people and to operate over them. And Dr. Abdullah Azzam wrote in his book his name of this man, and he said that he saved so many limbs from being amputated because he was an expert. So doctors can go and help. Any type of doctors can go and give medical help. Businessmen have a responsibility on the day of judgment on everything that they save in their bank accounts. And I'm not talking about 1,000 or 2,000. I'm talking about the millions and the billions of money they have stored. Allah will ask them for each and every penny for not supporting their brothers. And if you're not rich, and you're not a doctor, and you're unable to write an article or come on TV to help them, the least you could do is to pray night prayer, tahajjud, at the last third of the night, and raise your hands and supplicate for their victory. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal in humility and submissiveness that He would grant them victory, and Allah Azza wa Jal would respond to you. Muhammad from Saudi Arabia is saying that his Hajj expedition is taking him, and instead of spending the night in Mina, they're spending it 300 meters away in Aziziyah. Is this permissible? The answer is yes, inshallah. Not out of choice, but out of force, because Mina is so limited, and that is why it's like when you pray in a masjid and the masjid is full. Where do you pray? You pray outside on the street. And if the street is full, you pray outside where the markets are. And this is what's happening in Haram, for example. Likewise, in Mina, because it is fully booked, so people had to expand outside the borders of Mina, which is in Aziziyah or in Muzdalifah. And 300 meters is not a big distance, inshallah, and this is permissible. He's asking about, is it mandatory for the people living in Jeddah after they finish their Hajj? Do they have to offer Tawaf al-Wada', known as farewell Tawaf? Because the Prophet, as in the hadith of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, said that the last thing a pilgrim would do is to have these 7 rounds around the Kaaba, Tawaf al-Wada'. So he says, I live in Jeddah, which is 80 kilometers away from Mecca. Can I go back to my home to skip this huge crowd and come maybe like a week or 2 later on to perform Tawaf al-Wada'? And the answer is no. It is mandatory for you not to leave Mecca before you offer this Tawaf, as long as you've finished your Hajj. Omar from Nigeria is saying that if the bank gives me interest over my account, so I have $10,000, at the end of the month I'll find $200 there. We know that this is riba. What to do with it? The answer is, it is not permissible for you to utilize it for your own good or to use it. You have to cleanse your wealth by taking these $200 and spend them in means of charity. So whether you know someone who needs medical attention or medicine for his illness and he is unable to afford it, give it to him. You know someone who wants to get his daughter married but he doesn't have a penny and he cannot get her married without money, so you give it to him. You know someone who doesn't have money to pay the rent, electricity, etc., then this is permissible for you to give. His second question is about when someone usually gets a loan from the bank, and the bank wants to guarantee its right. And this is in Islam known as rahan, or mortgage. So if I get a loan from the bank tells me, bring me something that covers your loan. So I say, listen, this is my house. My loan is $3,000. My house is $100,000. So this is my guarantee that I'll pay back on time. And we agree on a specific date, and I fail to pay off the $3,000. The bank has all the right to sell the property and then take the $3,000 that I owe him and then give me back the money. And this is the Islamic way of doing it. You come to me and say, give me $10,000. I tell you, give me something in exchange that I would guarantee that you will pay. Say, this is my car, $40,000 worth. I keep it in my garage. A month later, you don't pay, I sell it. You say, I agree, khalas, alhamdulillah. 1 month passes and you don't pay. So I take the car and I take it to the showrooms and I sell it depending on the price of the day. See, I'm not doing anyone a favor. I just want to recollect my $10,000. So if I go to the market and I sell it as it's worth, in this case, a third person, a third party, if someone comes and says, oh, this has been taken by the bank and he's selling it to recollect his money, okay, I'll buy it. If he buys it for the value of the market, which is $30,000, $20,000, depending, maybe nobody wants to buy it for $40,000. This is permissible for that third party to come and buy it, inshallah. Khadija's question from Nigeria, reciting Surah Al-Kahf is a sunnah every Friday, correct. If a woman has her menses, what can she do? She can recite it from her PDA, from the mobile phone, from a laptop, computer, from the commentary of the Quran, which has more words than the actual words of the Quran. All of this is permissible for her to do. Jamio is saying somebody who is having severe illness and tells the doctor that they should remove one of his kidneys for donation. What is the ruling on that? The question is not clear whether it is the doctor who is demanding the removal of the kidney or the patient himself. But either way, if the doctor is recommending the removal of the kidney for donation, this is haram. Why should I donate one of my organs? Actually, they're not my organs. They're Allah's, because I'm entrusted for them. Can I come to you and say, listen, I don't need my left hand. Every time I read the hadith, it says, don't eat with your left, don't drink with your left. I don't need it, so I'll chop it off and give it to you. Can I do this? No, you can't, because it's not mine. So the doctor is not at liberty to give such a suggestion. Now, as for the patient, if he is in severe illness and he thinks that he's going to die soon, and he says, well, might as well do something that is good, I'm going to give my kidney away. One of them, I have two, I have three. MashaAllah, I'm rich. Can he do this? The answer is dependent on his medical condition and the severity of the one in need. If the doctors say that giving one of your kidneys would not endanger you in any form or shape, and the recipient is a close relative, a father, a mother, a brother, a wife, a son, and it would not, I'm not charging for it, the majority of scholars say it's permissible. Some scholars say that it is not permissible at all to donate anything while you're living, unless it can be reproduced. So if someone says that, listen, we need liver transplant, we will chop a bit of your liver and this would grow and there's no harm on you, hypothetically, I'm not a doctor. But if there's something that can be reproduced and without any harm on the individual, this is permissible, inshallah. As for the kidney, the majority of scholars say that this is permissible. I personally think that a Muslim should not donate anything of his. If he's financially fit, he can buy kidneys from others, and Allah knows best. Abu Safwan. Yes, bro.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
And Jazakallah, you answered my two questions. Thank you very much. The third which I forgot is, actually, as per hadith and other sayings, that the kafir or the non-believers in the grave, they will be in the state of constant punishment according to the severity of their deeds. So, but in Surah Yasin, there is a verse, قَالُوا يَا وَيْلَنَا مَنْ بَعَثَنَا مِنْ مَرْقَدِنَا, woe to us who woke up us from our sleep. So what, since the mushrikeen and kafirin and the non-believers, they are in a state of punishment, so what kind of sleep is being referred here in this ayah?
Okay. Yusuf from somewhere. Brother Yusuf? Umar is gone. Okay. Okay, I think we have a short break. Stay tuned, inshallah, we'll be right back.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. This is the slogan of Hajj. Did you know that those who are making their way and those who are about to go, or those who already did, are responding to a call that was made by one person almost 50,000 years ago. Ibrahim alayhi salam, yes, Allah had chosen him. Allah had chosen him, honored him, but He tested him first before He given him that honor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the mother of Musa alayhi salam, throw your baby in the sea, in the river at the time, and we will bring him back to you as a messenger. You will find out as we go through the story of Hajj, the story of Ibrahim and his family, that he relied a lot on his dua, but once his means are exhausted. Look at him. He needs this dua. Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is all sufficient for me.
لك والملك لا شريك لك.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Abu Safwan called and asked about the punishment of the disbelievers in the graves, and how is it that it is continuous. And Allah mentions in Surah Yasin, when they are resurrected from the graves, they say that, who is it who resurrected us from our sleep? Well, usually I don't like to interpret or to comment on any verses of the Quran without having knowledge. But it seems to me that the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ stating that the disbelievers are being punished in the graves goes in line with Surah Ghafir, when Allah Azza wa Jal tells us that Pharaoh and his followers will be displayed to hell in the morning and the evening. So this is the times that they will be punished, and this is until the day of judgment. So I see no contradiction between this and between the fact that they are asking in shock, who is it that woke up us from our sleep, or who is the one who resurrected us from our deathbed or the graves. So it is not actually stating that they were asleep, because they were not. They were dead in a phase between life and the hereafter, which is known as Dar al-Barzakh. And when they were resurrected, compared to what they were in less pain and less torment. When they were resurrected, they've discovered that this is the real thing, and that is why they were asking about the reason and why, and this is a form of their whining and complaining because they know what awaits them. Nazir is asking about, is it allowed to conduct condolence meetings to remember, to praise, and to do dua for the deceased person or deceased body? And the answer is no. This was not done by the Prophet ﷺ, and it was not done by the companions, may Allah be pleased with them. And on the contrary, Jarir ibn Abdullah al-Bajali, may Allah be pleased with him, tells us that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ used to consider such a meeting or preparation of food and inviting people to it, they used to consider this as part of whining over the deceased, which is a major sin. And that is why what the people do after a deceased is dead, especially here in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, they do the same, where it's even worse, where they go outside of the house and they put loads of chairs to receive the people between Maghrib and Isha, and they hire people to come and pour coffee and tea, and some of them even hire a sheikh to recite Quran, and they have this format. When the sheikh is reciting, everybody's sitting. Once he stops and pauses between like a break, like we've just done, they all stand up and go to the family of the deceased, who sit in another area in a row, and they give their condolences all of this is an innovation. And it is part of whining that the Prophet ﷺ forbade us to do. Other people even go a little bit further. So they have this commemoration on the 40th day of his death. And this is something they got from the pharaohs, because they believe that after 40 days of the death of an individual, or their kings or pharaohs or whatever, they will be resurrected. And that's why they put horses and gold and food and drink in their pyramids for them. But Muslims now are doing it, and this is wrong. They commemorate his memory after a whole year, a full year of his death on that specific day, and all of this is part of the innovations. Hajar says, did we have a question by name? Azim? Okay. Yes. Who do we have on the line? Azim, I apologize. They gave me your name in the beginning before the break, and I completely forgot about it.
No problem, Sheikh. How are you?
I'm fine, Jazakallah khair, akhi.
Sheikh, I have two questions. Number one, just define me what is makruh.
Okay.
And number two, when we are making a tawaf, it is we have to look at the Kaaba, or we are not allowed to look at the Kaaba.
Okay. I will answer your question, inshallah.
Okay, Habibi. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, akhi. Uthman from Dubai. Brother Uthman from Dubai.
Hello.
Yes, brother. Brother
Assalamu
Uthman. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yeah, can you hear me from the phone, please, and mute your TV?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is like, just now you said the person whoever want to give qurbani, so he has to stop like clipping the nails and shaving and removing the hairs and so on. So is it only applicable to the owner of the family, or on whoever name he gives, all has to be restrained from all this?
I will answer your question. Second question, please.
The second question is, a person who's intend to travel for Hajj, obviously he will do Umrah too. So after finishing Umrah, does he has to remove the ihram, or he can continue with the same ihram and perform the Hajj?
If he's,
or does he have to carry like two dresses, like two ihram sets?
Okay. I will answer your question, inshallah, Azam.
Thank you.
Okay, Uthman, that is. Okay, Azam's question is, please define makruh. What is the definition of makruh? The description of the detailed issues or matters in fiqh are 5. Beginning from the top: wajib, mustahab, mubah, makruh, haram. Mandatory, highly recommended, or voluntary if you wish. Permissible, which is in between. Then makruh, disliked, not recommended, and then forbidden. So makruh, by definition, is something, and I'm talking about what the jurors use, because it has other meanings. So when jurors or fuqaha say that this is makruh, disliked, this is not recommended for you to do, they mean that if you do it, you're not sinful. But if you do not do it and you abstain from doing it, you're rewarded. So give an example: entering the masjid with your right foot. This is sunnah. If I decide to enter the masjid with my left foot, am I a kafir? No. Am I sinful? No. But I did something that is disliked to Allah Azza wa Jal, and hence I will not be rewarded for that. However, if I do not do this thing and I decide to follow the sunnah, then I will be rewarded for that. Now, why did I say that this is the majority of jurors use it? Because in the Quran, the word makruh is also referring to something that is forbidden. But this is one incident that is mentioned in Surah Al-Isra, but the majority of the scholars and the jurors say this is the definition, the right definition of makruh. And Brother Azim is asking, now when I'm making tawaf, do I have to look at the Kaaba, that would be very difficult, because you will do tawaf like this, because it is mandatory that you leave the Kaaba to your left. It is wrong, and your tawaf is not correct if you walk like a crab sideways. Some people, because they have their sisters, for example, 2 or 3, the brothers make a circle and hold hands. So one of them might be like this, facing the Kaaba, and he's doing the tawaf walking like a crab sideways. What is the ruling on this? This is haram, because he is not having the Kaaba onto his left, and that his tawaf is not correct. So you don't look at the Kaaba. You don't need to look at the Kaaba. Look in front of you instead of bumping into a woman or to someone on a wheelchair. Look in front of you, and this is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Uthman from Dubai, and mashallah, we're having a lot of calls from Dubai. He's asking about the rule that I have stated a while ago in regard to a person offering the sacrifice, al-Udheya. He says, okay, now I understand. He's not allowed to clip his nails. He's not allowed to touch his hair. So does this apply for the whole family? And the answer is no. It applies for the bread earner, the one who's paying for the sacrifice. Which means that if I'm the bread earner, and in my house I have a son, and I tell my son, take this money, buy a sacrifice after 10 days from now on the Eid, and slaughter it. Now, by me instructing him to do so, is he the one who is supposed to refrain from clipping his nails and touching his hair, or me? The answer is, it's me. He has nothing to do with it, because I am the one who is paying for that sacrifice. Abdul Salam from Nigeria, and who else? Okay, we lost Abdul Salam. Okay, Bashir from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia.
Yes, bro. What can I do for you?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, Sheikh, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
First one, is it compulsory to sacrifice the animal on the day of Eid al-Adha or any other days? Is it compulsory to sacrifice?
Okay. Second question.
Second, what is the ruling regarding inheriting the property of a person who doesn't pray at all?
Okay. I will answer your question, inshallah. Abu Abdul Rahman from Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I have 2 questions.
Yes, bro.
The first question, I work here in Saudi Arabia for a large company, and the company has a retirement plan. And I don't contribute to the retirement plan, but when I'm ready for retirement, there is 2 options. The first option is that they will give me a lump sum. In such case, I will pay a large amount of tax money on it because I'm a U.S. citizen. Second option is to take a monthly payment. However, that monthly payment is tied to how long I live. So if I live 20 more years, they're going to give me every month the same amount of money, which is a small amount of money that will probably not pay as much tax on it as possible. I'm not sure if this is permissible or not. This is the first question.
Okay. Regarding your first question, is this the end of service indemnity, or it's a complete different scheme of retirement, like the one done by IDB, for example?
This is the end of service.
Okay. Second question?
The second question is also regarding the company. If I decide not to retire and stay with them, they have what they call like a savings plan. And the savings plan, if you put a certain percentage of the money in the savings plan, they will match the same amount of money in that savings plan. However, they force you to choose one of the investment funds to put the money in, that percentage of yours and the percentage of the company. And that fund is not really controlled by you. It's controlled by a fund manager who can buy stocks in different companies, including companies which are unlawful.
Okay.
Is this allowed to purify a portion of that money later on or not?
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Last caller, Mariam is gone. Okay, Uthman's second question was regarding Al-Umrah and Al-Hajj. He's saying that if I'm coming and I'm performing Umrah and I finished my Umrah, do I change my clothes and wear my normal clothes, or I stay as I am until the day of Hajj and then do my Hajj. Akhi, you're mixed up because, not mixed up in the sense that you're mixing up the 3 rituals of Hajj. There is tamattu', there is qiran, and there is ifrad. The one you're referring to is tamattu', which is traveling one journey to Mecca and not going back to your home until you finish your rituals, and offering umrah, and after you offer your umrah, you cut short your hair and khalas, take off your ihram, wear your normal clothes. If you have your wife with you, you can do whatever you want to do with her in terms of halal stuff. You can wear perfume, you can clip your nails, you can wear your trousers and shirts, no problem. On the 8th of Hijjah, you change, wear your ihram, and offer your Hajj. So this is tamattu', meaning that if you take your umrah, you have to leave it and wear cut short your hair and wear your normal ihram. Now the 2 other rituals is qiran and ifrad, and they're both alike. And some of the people, due to their ignorance and not reading a lot about their rituals, they think that when they perform tawaf al-qudum and offer sa'i al-hajj, as the Prophet did alayhi salam, they say, okay, this is tawaf, this is sa'i, then I've done a umrah. No, this is not a umrah. This has nothing to relate to the umrah, because the same person could skip this and go to Mina immediately. So if you are offering tamattu', yes, you cut short your hair and normal clothes. But if you're offering qiran or ifrad, once you make ihram, you cannot interrupt this or cut short your hair or do anything until you complete and finish on the day of Al-Eid, where you throw Jamrat al-Aqaba and shave your head. This is when you can change. So I hope this answers your question. Bashir from Saudi Arabia, he's saying that, is it mandatory to slaughter the sacrifice on the day of Eid? No, it's not. You have 4 days to slaughter the sacrifice of Eid. 10th, which is the day of Eid, the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th before sunset. This is the time for slaughtering the sacrifice of Al-Eid. The second question, he's saying that, what's the ruling on inheriting from someone who died while he did not pray at all? The answer is, it depends on that person. Can we say he's a kafir? It's a very big word, and you cannot label someone as kafir until the conditions are fulfilled and the obstacles are removed. So you come to me and say, yeah, my father did not pray. Were you with him 24/7? So no, I've never seen him pray. He never prays Jum'ah. If he doesn't pray Jum'ah, he's still a Muslim. He may pray when you leave the home. He may pray in his room. He may pray when you are in the bathroom. So not seeing him pray does not label him as kafir. If he says that I do not pray and I've never prayed and I'm not going ever to pray, and you tell him that the Prophet said, who doesn't pray is a kafir, he says, I'm not going to pray, then this guy, he has the knowledge, and there are no obstacles from him for not praying, because some people may not pray due to ignorance. So many people, when admitted to hospital for 2 or 3 months, they quit praying altogether. And you go to the patient in their room, why aren't you praying, akhi? He says, listen, I can't go to the bathroom, and the nurse comes and takes my urine and my stool, and I'm not clean, so how do you want me to pray in this state? So I don't pray. Not knowing that he has to pray regardless of what state of purity or impurity he is in. As long as he cannot remove it, he must pray. This is Allah's commandment upon him. So there are people who are ignorant. Therefore, just for the benefit of the doubt, if a deceased person dies and he was not praying to what seems to you, you could not see him pray, this doesn't mean he was a kafir or he did not pray at all, and therefore I believe that it is permissible to inherit him. Abu Abdurrahman from Saudi Arabia, he's saying that he works for a global company, for a big company, and they have a scheme for the end of service indemnity. We know that in Saudi Arabia, for example, they give an employee half a salary for every year he spends on his job, providing he spent there, I think 3 years or more, or 5 years or more. And then they give him 1 salary per every year. So 7 years, this means 2 more salaries, etc. So the brother is asking that this company he works for, they have the same end of service indemnity, but they have 2 schemes, and they give you a choice whether we give you the wholesome amount of money, and this money could, let's say, be 300,000 riyals. So your lump sum end of service is 300,000 riyals, and that's a lot of money. Or they say we give you another option, and that is we pay you until you die $3,000 a month. So one says, this means that if I live more than 8 years, I'm making a plus. If I die before, they are winning. The way I see it, that this is not permissible, because this can go indefinitely and there will be harm on them, and it's like gambling for you and for them. And I see that you have to take the lump sum and accept that, inshallah. As for the second, okay, we have Saad from, I thought that was the last call. Saad from Saudi Arabia.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam, akhi.
My name is Tajuddin Ahmad.
Tajuddin Ahmad, they told me it's Saad. Okay, that's not even close.
Yeah, I have 5 questions for you, Sheikh.
How many?
5.
Wallahi, I don't think we have time, so try.
Okay, we can discuss as quickly.
Okay.
For the is it for the Tahatul Masjid, it is Nafil or Sunnah?
Okay.
Then second question is, how many surahs we have to pray in Faraz and Sunnat?
Okay.
The third question is, in case we are don't have time to make Sunnah, if we make Faraz prayers and then we make Sunnah prayers, it is permissible?
Right. Okay.
And the fourth question is regarding talaq.
Okay.
Why we have differences of 4 imams about the talaq, opinion for the 4 talaqs, and Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah has a different, he has given an opinion that in 3 sitting 1 talaq is taking place, and Umar bin Khattab said that it is not allowed. And can you please clarify these 4 questions?
Okay, enough, inshallah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the second scheme of Abu Abdurrahman is the company is offering a savings scheme. You pay 4,000, we will match that with 4,000 of our own. Usually they give you a limit. So they say that we have a 5-year scheme, 10-year scheme, 20-year scheme. So once you put in deposit, you should not touch the money. So the employer says, okay, they put 5,000 and he puts 5,000. But they invest the money in different portfolios that he is not sure whether it's haram or halal. In accordance to what I've heard from your question, the whole scheme is not permissible, because they will benefit from this. And it's like lending someone money and he will double it for you. So someone comes to me and says, listen, Sheikh, give me 100,000 riyals, and in 3 years' time, I'll pay it back for 200,000 riyals. This is haram. This is not something that is considered to be a gift. It's money for money, plus the issue of them putting it in portfolios that most likely it will be riba based. So avoid that, Akhi Abi Abdurrahman. Brother Tajuddin Ahmad from Saudi Arabia is saying, is Tahiyyatul Masjid, the greeting of the masjid, the 2 rak'ahs we know of, is it nafil or sunnah? It's the same. Nafil and sunnah in the classification of jurors means that if you do them, you're rewarded. If you don't, you're not sinful. But Tahiyyatul Masjid is mandatory. It's wajib. You cannot sit without praying them in the masjid. And this is the most authentic opinion of scholars. He's saying that how many surahs should we recite in mandatory prayers or in voluntary prayers? The answer is the sky is the limit. If I pray Dhuhr prayer and I only pray or recite Al-Fatiha in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rak'ah without any other surah, my prayer is valid. If I pray Al-Fatiha and I pray after it 1 surah or 2 surahs or 5 surahs, my prayer is again valid, and the sunnah or the voluntary prayers is the same thing. His third question, if I fail to pray, for example, the sunnah that precedes the fard, as we know, Fajr prayer, has 2 rak'ahs before it. If I fail to pray it because I woke up and the iqamah was already called, so I went to the masjid, I prayed 2 rak'ahs of fard with the imam, can I pray it afterwards? The answer is yes, you can, as long as your reason is legitimate. But if someone is lagging behind and he has like 20 minutes and he doesn't want to pray sunnah, he wants to pray it afterwards, after the mandatory prayer, we say that his prayer is not accepted because Allah prescribed it to be before the prayer. Only making it up after the prayer is valid when you have a legitimate reason. As for the divorce, why the jurors differed, you've stated the answer yourself. The Prophet ﷺ used to consider divorcing a wife 3 times in the same time, saying you're divorced, divorced, divorced. Inti taliq, taliq, taliq. At the same time, he used to consider it once. At the time of Abu Bakr and the beginning of time of Umar, it was the same. But then Umar discovered that so many cases are coming to him, and people, out of being angry, in state of rage, being impulsive, they're angry with their wives, they give them 3 talaq, 10 talaq, 100 talaq. So he said, being one of the righteously imam, he said, this is in my power. So I will make it 3 as 3, so that people would be disciplined. So it went on and kept on going for hundreds of years, and people would consider it to be so, until other jurors said, no, as long as we can make life easy for people, then we will go back to the fatwa of the Prophet ﷺ. So those who say, like Shaykh al-Islam bin Taymiyyah and our Shaykhs Abdulaziz bin Baz, bin Uthaymeen, may Allah have mercy on their souls, they say that if someone gives his wife divorce 3 times at the same time simultaneously, this is once. And other jurors who said, we've been doing this for hundreds of years and we're not following our own desires and whims, we're following the fatwa and the instruction of Umar ibn Khattab, whom the Prophet himself ﷺ said, follow my sunnah and the sunnah of the righteously guided caliphs. Umar was one of them. So those who follow this have their opinion, and those who follow that follow their opinion. I personally, of course, follow the opinion of Shaykh bin Baz bin Uthaymeen, and that is giving talaq 3 times simultaneously is considered to be 1. And I believe we can still have time for Hajar. Hajar's question, her daughter wants her to buy a digital Islamic finger tasbih. So she's saying, is this permissible or not? It is permissible, but it is highly unrecommended. Tell your daughter that even if it helps you keep the number, it's one of the means of riya, of showing off. Because once you are wearing it and you're doing this and everybody is not, they're looking at you, they're looking at you in admiration, and shaitan comes and says, yes, I'm the one who's doing tasbih. So it is not part of the sunnah. I would not go to the extent of saying it's an innovation, because it's like the prayer beads, like the subha. However, it is not recommended, and as long as we've stretched it this much, we can squeeze another question for Shaibu. Can a woman move around in her town for domestic purposes without her mahram? Yes, as long as she's in the town and she's not considered to be traveling from her town to another town within the vicinity of the city, she can, if she drives or she goes by bus or public transportation without a mahram, as long as there's no harm on her, inshallah. Binam, last question, he says, my husband is doing business of travel bags and he has named his brand as Parajon. Is it permissible to put a kafir's name? It is permissible, but not recommended, unless there is something behind the name Parajon that I do not know of. If it's just a name without any loose ends, it is permissible, but it is not highly recommended. As a Muslim, you should be proud of your religion. This is all the time we have. Until we meet you next time, next week. Fi amanillah, wa salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech.